Good day, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of the Peace Clinic. We are glad that you could join us. The Peace Clinic is brought to you by the Institute of Global Peace and Conflict Management, and I remain your anchor, Janet Michael. So today we'll be looking at quite an interesting topic. We will be talking about the role of non-state actors in conflict resolution. And I have with me Ambassador Samuel, and he will be doing justice, getting us to understand who non-state actors are and how effective they are when it comes to the process of conflict resolution. You're welcome, Ambassador Samuel. It's a pleasure having you.
Good evening, Janet, and good evening to everyone. Thank you for finding time to join us. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir. So just like the topic has said, the role of non-state actors in conflict resolution, we would actually love to know, more about this topic. We are in the era of conflicts, and there is need for those conflicts to be resolved. We're talking about conflict at the grassroots level, the community level, the national level, and even in the international space. Now, when we talk about the non-state actors, who exactly are we referring to, and what are their roles when it comes to, the aspect of mediation, peace building, conflict reconstruction, and conflict resolution? So we would love to hear from you, Ambassador Samuel.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Deep gratitude to the Institute of Global Peace and Conflict Management. The topic of our discourse today is the role of non-state actors in conflict resolution. When we talk about role, I'd like us to understand that role has few different meanings, but they all center around the idea of a part that someone or something plays. When we talk about role, we are talking about what is being exhibited in a performance, like a scene the character one puts up or portrays in a particular play, movie, or a performance. It may not be the actual exhibition of that person, but for the purpose of carrying out an assignment, the person may decide to act in that role. Now, from the societal perspective, a role is a set of expected behaviors that go a long way with a certain group of persons, that goes a long way with a particular position in a society. Now, if you are referring to a doctor, ethically and fundamentally, the role of a doctor is to care for patients. If you want to make reference to a teacher, the role of a teacher is to educate the students. The role at an elementary level, we have the role of father, the role of the mother, the role of the children. So role talks about expectations, what an individual or what is expected of a group of persons to do. Now, talking about states, the word state has a few different meanings depending on the context under which it's being considered. A state can be called a political entity. Now, this is the most commonly used meaning when we are discussing about international relations. Within the realms of international relations, state denotes an independent polity, an independent entity that possesses sovereignty over a well-defined geographical territory. In other words, a state has sovereignty, a well-defined geographical territory. This sovereignty entails authority to enact and enforce domestic laws, having the power to establish foreign policies and engage in treaties with other recognized states. When we are talking about a political entity, you are referring to nations and countries of the world, a governmental setup. Now, when we are making reference to non-state in the actual sense is used in a descriptive form. It means anything that is not affiliated to, or anything that is not supported to, or anything that is not connected directly to a sovereign state or its governmental organizations. So non-state actors includes any form, any group, any organization that does not have affiliation with government, that does not have affiliation with states. Now, the landscape of international relations is no longer dominated by sovereign states. The world that we live in today is now intercontinental. The world that we live in today is technological.
Unfortunately, it seems Ambassador Samuel is having some network glitch. So if you're just joining us, we would love to have you in this conversation. We are talking about the role of non-state actors in conflict resolution. So we want to know where you're joining us from. We want to know what you think about this topic. We want to know your contributions, and we would also love to have you in this conversation. So send in your questions and let us know what you think about the topic, the role of non-state actors in conflict resolution. So Ambassador Samuel was trying to make us understand who exactly are the non-state actors. He said, and I quote, he said this is actually linked to international relations and diplomacy. He spoke about the sovereignty of states, and he was trying to make us understand that when we talk about the non-state actors, we are talking about the religious institutions, you're talking about the community groups, you're talking about, influential individuals, talking about private companies. These are those we refer to as non-state actors. So once again, we would love to have you in this conversation. Hopefully he will be joining us soon. From viewers, we can see Ambassador Dennis from Liberia. We are glad you could join us today. We can also see Mr. Malta Daniels from Nigeria. Thank you, Mr. Malta. Thank you, Mr. Dennis Mosago. Mr. Honesty, we are glad you could join us. So we would love to have you in this conversation, like I said earlier. So let us see your comments concerning this topic. What role do you think the non-state actors play when it comes to conflict resolution? You can agree with me that in our current world, especially in international relations, we could see the war going on in the Middle East, the war between Israel and Palestine. We could also see the war happening between Ukraine and Russia. So we need to get everyone involved. Peace is everyone's business. So everyone needs to be involved, the state actors, the non-state actors, all hands needs to be together to make sure that peace reigns in our world. So you're welcome back, Ambassador Samuel.
Thank you. Apologies for that network glitch. Please confirm, at what point did you lose me?
Okay, you were trying to make us understand who the non-state actors are.
Oh, thank you so much. Now, as I was saying before, I was bumped up. Apologies for that. Non-state actors are individuals, are organizations that wield significant political influence in governance, but they are not officially part of any government. Their impact is felt, but there's no direct tie with any governmental organization or institute. Now, they may exist for beneficial purposes. They may also exist for harmful purposes. We have about terrorist groups and their likes. They are not state actors that go about causing mayhem on individuals. We also have institutions, non-state actors that are set up to promote and enhance inclusiveness in governance. Breaking down non-state actors, we have the international organizations, the IOs. These are formal institutions created by treaties between several states. The United Nations is an example of international organizations. The World Trade Organization, WTO, is also another example of international organizations. We must understand that on their own, they are not government themselves, but they play a crucial role in global governance. They set standards for governance and they foster cooperation by addressing transnational challenges. Therefore, international organizations fall into the category of non-state actors. Non-governmental organizations, known by its acronym NGOs, is also an example of non-state actors. These are independent and non-profit groups that work on a wide range of issues, from humanitarian aid to environmental protection to human rights advocacy. They are non-profit groups. The purpose of setting them up is not for profit making, but they are being structured in such a way that their impact is felt in governance and in humanity. NGOs can act as watchdogs. They can deliver crucial services and influence policy through lobbying and public awareness campaign. Different NGOs are set up with different reasons to add value and improve the quality of lives being lived. So we have international organizations as examples of non-state actors. We have non-governmental organizations as another example of non-state actors. And NGOs can be local, national, or international. They may have connections and network in different states, different countries, ranging services. And in Nigeria, there's a whole lot of NGOs with different form of affiliation set up, performing their role as non-state actors. Another example of non-state actors I would love to spotlight today is the multinational corporations, also called the MNCs. Multinational corporations are private businesses that operate across international borders. The economic cloud of MNCs can rival that of some states. There are some multinational corporations that are dynamic and sophisticated to match the scope of states. They can influence government policies. They can shape labor practices. They can impact development strategies in countries that they operate. In Nigeria, we have a whole lot of multinational corporations. They are not owned by the state, but their impact tells on the state, and their services can influence the policies of the state. Another example of non-state actors is the religious groups. Religious institutions, whether we like it or not, take it or leave it, can wield significant political influence, particularly in regions with strong religious affiliations. In this part of the world, in this part of Africa, we are strongly religiously inclined. So religious institutions are not owned by the state. They are not state connected. They are non-state actors. They can wield significant influence on the politics and in governance. Why? They can mobilize large followings and influence social norms and economic independence. Religious groups are examples of non-state actors.
We sincerely apologize for the network glitch. Hopefully, Ambassador Samuel will be joining us again.
I deeply apologize for network fluctuations. Apologies. Now, I was speaking about the religious group as an example of non-state actors. They can mobilize large followings. Religious institutions can influence social norms, and they can even act as political actors in some contexts. We have seen where some religious groups sponsored political movement that led to some kind of revolution within their state. So religious groups are examples of non-state actors. We will speak more of them as we progress. Armed groups, like I said earlier, are also non-state actors. This category encompasses a diverse spectrum, from rebel groups to groups that are fighting for self-determination, then to terrorist organizations. These groups often operate outside the law and pose a security threat, but their motivations can be complex. Most times, their motivations may range from political grievances or to extremist ideologies. In Nigeria, taking a statistics for the past 10 years, we've had several encounters and reports of the activities of these armed groups. They are not state actors. Their activities, their operations affects the governance negatively of our nation. We have indigenous people. These are communities with distinct cultural identities and historical ties to a particular territory. They are not states themselves, but indigenous groups have rights and interests that need to be recognized and protected at the international level. Having named these non-state actors before we go into deep details about them, I must bring to the fore that these non-state actors, there's an evolution in their landscape. From the international system, we have witnessed a dynamic interplay between state and non-state actors throughout history. They do not exist in a vacuum. There's always an interplay, always a connection between state actors and non-state actors. The concept of nation state emerged as the dominant force in the modern era. Non-state actors have consistently exerted influence with their roles, but their roles fluctuate between periods. We have the early manifestations of the transnational influence of non-state actors, looking at the ancient empires and the trade network. History tells us that long before the rise of nation states, empires like the Roman Empire, the Persian Empire, they wielded significant influence beyond their territories. Similarly, trade networks, those that were related by virtue of the trade that they were into, those that were related by virtue of their skill, they fostered cultural exchange and economic independence, acting as early examples of transnational actors. We spoke about the religious group earlier. Yeah. Religious institutions have transcended national boundaries throughout histories. Many religious institutions have international base. They are not just based in one locality, they are not just confined to one jurisdiction. Their network spans across several countries. Record will bring to us that there are four major religions in the world. Speaking about Christianity, speaking about Islam, speaking about Hinduism, and speaking about Buddhism. One of the records I have at my disposal states that we have about 2.4 billion followers as far as Christianity is concerned. The record persists to say we have about 1.8 billion followers of Islam, 1.2 billion followers of Hinduism. We have 0.5 billion followers of Buddhism. Different researches may produce different statistical interpretation. Now, it goes further to state that Christianity makes up 31% of the world's religion. Islam makes up 24% of the world's religion. Hinduism makes up 15% of the world's religion. And Buddhism makes up 7% of the world's religion. Now, this tells us the critical role that religious institutions play as a very potent and viable non-state actors. There are other religions in the world, such as Judaism. Record has that it has about an estimate of 15 million followers. We have the Shinto, connected to Japan, an estimate of 13 million followers. We have the Sikhism. It is a monotheistic religion originated in India, an approximate of about 25 million followers. We have the Shinto. The Shinto has about 30 million followers. Now, why are we bringing all this to the fore? It is important to remember that these are just estimates. These statistics are just estimates, and the number may vary depending on the methodology used in carrying out the research. But we should not forget that having listed all these religious groups and their followers in terms of numbers and percentages, there are still people that are not members of any religious sect, while we have people, believe it or not, that are members of various religious sects. They do not belong to just one religion alone. The role of non-state actors regarding religious institutions is very crucial. As we all know, the words of the leaders in this religious sect goes a long way in structuring the decision of their followers. If an instruction is being passed on a yearly basis, we have different public holidays attached to these different institutions, and you need to see the loyalty the followers going. We have the merchant guilds. The merchant guild, these are association of merchants, is a non-state actor. And this group held significant economic clout, influencing trade policies and engaging in warfare to protect their interests. Examples of merchant guilds down at our level, you go to some markets, they have association. We have groups of artisans. You discover that in most cases, what is being determined in that profession, what is being done by members of that profession, is a reflection of a collective group. There was a time in a particular state in Nigeria, the artisans of a certain profession decided to withdraw their service. They are not state actors, and their influence is very vital. Now, this demonstrates the early presence of non-state actors with the capacity of exerting influence beyond purely economic spheres. While we were experiencing transition, at some point, non-state actors were no longer as viable as they were. Now, history tells us that the Treaty of Westphalia in 1648, this landmark treaty established the principle of state sovereignty. So when the states passed, when the sovereignty of the state began to emerge, the impact of non-state actors started to dwindle. Their impact in the economy and governance became secondary. And even the Industrial Revolution, the rise of powerful nation states, coincided with the Industrial Revolution. This period witnessed a relative decline in the prominence of non-state actors. But from the 20th century down, international organizations after the World War One, we began to see there was a creation of the League of Nations immediately after the World War One, marking a renewed emphasis on international cooperation beyond the sole purview of individual states. And immediately after, during the 20th century, we began to witness the rise again of powerful multinational corporations whose economic cloud began to rival that of some states. These corporations transcended national boundaries and demonstrated the growing influence of non-state actors. Coming down to the 21st century, we started witnessing globalization. The interconnectedness of the modern world has empowered the non-state actors to operate across borders and enhance, exert, and impute their influence on a wider scale. Due to globalization, we discovered that it has facilitated the rise of a more diverse and influential set of non-state actors. There are several non-state actors that are connected globally. At some point, we witnessed that a particular tribe in Nigeria held a uniform rally. It was witnessed in a state that a particular tribe did not open. In Edo State, there was a particular day that the Igbos didn't open their shop. They were protesting some issues. These are not state actors, but the impact is being felt. 21st century witnessed the rise of technology. So technological advancement like social media has provided non-state actors with powerful tools for communication, mobilization, and advocacy. Just a word from an individual that is being circulated online can ground economic activities. This is made possible by technology. So technology has brought more advantage and reach to non-state actors. Technology has democratized access to information and communication, empowering non-state actors to play a more active role in global governance. And in many cases, the relationship between state actors and non-state actors is usually not at par. In some part of the world, we have weak states, and the weakness of this state has created space for non-state actors, such as NGOs and armed groups, to fill the void. Between the end of last year and the early part of this year, we witnessed successive revolutions in different countries in Africa, leading to toppling of the government of the day. Looking at it critically, the role of non-state actors was very critical and important in all of this. The role of the non-state actors in the 21st century is likely to continue to grow. Now, understanding how to harness the potential for positive change while mitigating their negative impact will be a key challenge for the international community. The scope of our discourse today borders on the role of non-state actors in conflict resolution. It therefore means there's the ability, there's the potential for non-state actors to actively enhance and sustain conflict resolution. There's also the opportunity and the ability for these non-state actors to fuel crisis. So their role is dual. They can fuel crisis, they can inhibit the spread of conflict. It only means that which side do we go to? How well can we manage these non-state actors? Dear discussants, permit me to say this here and now that the government of the day, to a large extent, determines the response and the impact of non-state actors. Non-state actors will always tow towards the line and direction the state actors want them to tow, not by words of their mouth, but by their actions. Permit me to use in our local adage in Nigeria, the body language of the state actors determines the response of non-state actors. Conflict, what is conflict? In simple terminology, conflict is a situation where people or groups disagree or clash or struggle due to incompatible needs. These are non-state actors. These are conflicts. Why do people experience conflict? Resources being scarce. Scarcity of resources can lead to conflict. When there's competition for limited resources like water, land, or power, it can lead to conflict. When people feel that their survival well-being is being threatened by others, it can lead to conflict. What can also lead to conflict? Different values and beliefs can lead to conflict. People hold different values about religion. People hold different beliefs about politics. People hold different beliefs about morality. When core values clash, conflict is inevitable. Misunderstanding and miscommunication can lead to breakdown of relationship, leading to conflict. Competition and identity, the desire for status, the desire for recognition, the desire for dominance can also fuel conflict. When different individuals or groups feel threatened by the achievement of others or feel threatened by the ambition of others, they may now resort to conflicts. We also have historical conflicts, issues of the past gaining prominence in the present. This may lead to conflict. And conflict can have both negative impact and positive impact. Negative in the sense it can lead to violence, it can lead to destruction, it can lead to stalled progress. But on the other side, conflict can also expose underlying issues that will propel people to seek solution. By understanding the nature of conflict and the roots cause of conflict, we can work towards promoting peace and cooperation within and between societies. Dear participants and listeners, now let us consider a shifting perception of reality. You will agree with me that needs and interests are underlying drivers for behavioral exhibitions. Beneath the surface of any conflict is the fundamental needs and interests of individuals. When these needs and interests evolve, when these needs and interests are not actually satisfied or attended to, conflict may evolve. So conflict resolution efforts may actually fail when these underlying factors and drivers are not properly taken care of. Non-state actors may differ in their operations. Non-state actors may differ in their formation, but ethically, their impact in conflict resolution is very critical. We cannot take it away from them. Now, permit me at this point to look at it from this particular perspective. Looking at the role of non-state actors in conflict resolution, conflict can be caused by non-state actors. Conflict can also be mitigated or resolved by non-state actors. So, what side will they turn to? Which side will they yield to? It therefore depends on the prevailing power of the state development, state actors, to determine the part that the non-state actors will toe. Dear participants, may I at this juncture consider the essential skills that are important for conflict resolution. We have active listening, empathy, communication skills, critical thinking, and problem solving skills. In Nigeria, as it were, what examples of non-state actors can we refer to? Non-state actors play vital role in shaping the nation's democracy, shaping the nation's development. And let me now go back to the religious group. Basically, in Nigeria, we have the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, the umbrella body for Christians. We also have the Jamaatul Nasri Islam, JNI, the umbrella body for Muslims in Nigeria. Believe it or not, these umbrella organizations for Christians and Muslims dominate the process of conflict resolution. They wield significant and social political influence in our nation. These religious bodies can serve as mediators in interfaith conflicts. These bodies can serve to advocate for religious tolerance within the Islamic sect. There are several. I was speaking in a presentation yesterday, and we were looking at religious framework for conflict resolution, looking at it from the Christian perspective and from the Muslim perspective. And I made the parties to understand that even in Muslim, we have principles that enhances tolerance. Even in Christianity, we have principles that also enhances what? Tolerance. Why does it enhance tolerance? It enhances tolerance because they understand the role they play in conflict resolution. The pronouncement of religious leaders can influence political discourse. The pronouncement of religious leaders can escalate tension. The pronouncement of religious leaders can also de-escalate tension. If a religious sect decides to go this way and their leaders make pronouncement, you discover that to a large extent, the economy will topple. Religious groups are critical as non-state actors, and they have different structures within their scope to ameliorate tensions globally. Local faith-based organizations. Now, going away from the umbrella body, we have local faith-based organizations. What are their role in conflict resolution? We have mosques, we have churches, we have traditional religious institutions. They play a critical role in community life to a large extent. The actions of our religious leaders, the admonitions of our religious leaders go a long way in shaping our disposition to issues in life. In most cases, regardless of the economic tension, when religious followers begin to hear messages and sermons of hope, their hope is being strengthened. But when they hear otherwise, they are tempted to toe a path of violence. So, from the position of authority, we are simply saying that religion can play a critical role in conflict resolution. Civil society organizations, CSOs, made up of advocacy groups, organizations like the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, they work to uphold human rights. They work to promote transparency and hold government accountable. Several civil society organizations, they have direct communication with those at the grassroots. They have direct impact with those at the grassroots. And from their own scope, they can contribute significantly to dispute resolution. Holistically, we are saying that resolution of conflict does not only lie in state actors. Non-state actors play a critical role. When you break down a whole into smaller components, you can begin to tackle them. Permit me to say here now, a man once he called out his staff. He called out his employees and gave each of them a stick of broom and told them to break it. They broke it with ease. When they were done, he gave each of them a bunch of broom and told them to break it. There was no way they could crush the stick of brooms because they were connected and united. We are simply saying that conflict resolution left in the hands of state actors will not witness the type of transformation and massive impact we earnestly yield for. There must be a strategic collaboration between state actors and non-state actors. Do state actors have influence in conflict resolution? Yes. They legislate the laws, they dictate the tone, but the implementation and execution of these policies is usually done by non-state actors. What of community development organizations? Community development organizations focus on issues such as education, healthcare, environmental protection, empowering communities, and fostering social cohesion. Community development organizations at their level can intervene in conflict resolution mechanisms. Youth organizations. Now, groups like the National Youth Council of Nigeria mobilize young people to participate in the political process and advocate for social change. Everyone has a stake in conflict resolution. Everyone has a buy-in in conflict resolution. It is being said, when the hawk is feasting on the birds of your neighbor, do not be happy, do not rejoice, because when he's done feasting on the birds of your neighbor, it will come to yours. It is easy to point fingers. It is easy to accuse the government. The government is guilty of this. The government is guilty of that. Let us be sincere at our level. Some of the things that we do compared to what is happening in governance, we will weep and cry for ourselves. We don't need to wait so much for what the state actors will do. Non-state actors at their individual level, at the local level, at the state level, at the national level, and at the intercontinental level can invest heavily in conflict resolution mechanisms. In one of the peace clinics we had, I asked a question. What will stop individuals from coming together to approach the Institute of Global Peace and Conflict Resolution, saying, my beloved institute, we want to invest this amount into this institute to help you in promoting what you are doing. It will not cost anything. It is easy to spend money in thuggery. It is easy to spend money in terrorism. Somebody said terrorism may not come to an end because it has become a very lucrative business for a selected cabal. Non-state actors are critical in sustaining peace in our society. The Institute of Global Peace and Conflict Management can become a platform where people buy in, make investment. You can send your staff for training, send your members for training so that they can get skills to begin to influence policies at their level that will help in achieving peace. Somebody once said, until we all decide to make peace, peace cannot be achieved because peace is not what we wait for. Peace is not what we look for. Peace is what we work towards. Non-state actors at our level, we've heard of several instances whereby community vigilantes at a very local level contribute positively in their community by preventing crime, by keeping the people safe. We've also heard of robberies that were masterminded by security agencies at the local level. It was everywhere on social media recently. The security agencies were given a tip that there was a court-related incident somewhere, and they mobilized and they got there. When they got there, they were expected to arrest the culprit. One member of the security group discovered that the cultists that they were asked to go arrest, he was a fellow member of the group. What did he do? A lot of things happened, and he shot the fellow officer that went with him just to free that person. All hands must be on deck. If we are to achieve the peace we are looking for, all hands must be on deck. The essence of this discourse today is to spotlight the importance and the relevance of non-state actors. They may not be formal institutions, they may be informal institutions, but their role is very, very germane. Now, let me quickly speak about this. While I was preparing for this discussion, I asked myself, political parties, are they non-state actors? And I did a little research, and I discovered that political parties are formal institutions because they are recognized and they are registered as legal entities within the country. They can participate in elections and form elections if given the opportunity. But despite this, they can also function independent of the state. Political parties that are in the position of opposition parties can become non-state actors. They can become a watchdog and within their scope, not thinking of necessarily pulling other parties down. They can contribute their quota towards the emancipation and towards the betterment of the community. Now, in the context of Nigeria, you discover that several things occur, several things happen. The role of non-state actors is evolving. The social media is beginning to empower citizens. The social media is beginning to empower groups. You discover that some information may trend, and you discover that people begin to make donations towards a particular issue. These are non-state actors coming on board to see how best they can improve the quality of lives of people. Dear listeners, see, non-state actors, they are reshaping the architectural structure of conflict resolution. Traditionally, conflict resolution centered on states, but it is currently undergoing a significant transformation. Non-state actors are emerging as potent forces, wielding considerable and important influence in mediating conflict in our days. The evolving landscape presents opportunities and challenges that demand a strategic approach. Remember, we've listed different examples of non-state actors. Now, let us leverage on the strengths and challenges of these non-state actors. Non-state actors brings a unique set of strengths to the conflict resolution table, talking about proximity and local knowledge. Most of these non-state actors are close to the grassroots, so they have deeper understanding of the local context, local culture, and specific needs of communities affected by conflicts. Non-state actors, they have a clear and first-hand information about issues that borders on a community. Now, this proximity allows them to tailor their interventions and to build trust with local stakeholders more effectively. They are there, they have first-hand experience. Now, non-state actors are flexible and innovative. Now, non-state actors can be more agile and adaptable than government. Permit me to make reference to this in one of the northern states where terrorists struck. Some of the people that were kidnapped were rescued. They were rescued by non-state actors. The community mobilized themselves and went in search of these missing individuals, and they were able to rescue some of them. These are non-state actors. They are very critical. When we decide to protect what we have, then what we have will stand the test of time. Looking at advocacy and public awareness, non-state actors can raise global awareness about human rights. Non-state actors can raise global awareness about abuses. There are several instances whereby some information begin to trend about government insensitivity to some issues. When it begins to gain international recognition, then the government begins to gear up to see what they can do. Non-state actors say the truth the way it is, even when government media, to an extent, begins to publish information. Non-state actors rise up to the situation to state the needful as at when due. Non-state actors can galvanize public support for peace-building initiatives. Or permit me to say this, in most cases, we still have some concerns. The growing influence of non-state actors raises some troubling concerns about accountability and transparency. As usually the case, non-state actors are not always subject to the same level of democratic oversight as state actors. Non-state actors may lack transparency in their funding sources, and decision-making process can undermine their legitimacy. In some cases, the sustainability of non-state actors may be highly unpredictable. Non-state actors may have their own agendas and biases, which can influence their approach to conflict resolution. Dear listeners, there's a need to build a collaborative architecture for peace. What we build alone may just be good enough for us, but what we build with others may stand the test of time. To maximize the positive impact of non-state actors, now there need to be collaboration. I want to advocate for coordination between non-state actors and state actors. Effective conflict resolution necessitates close cooperation between non-state actors and state actors. In many cases, non-state actors have risen to the occasion to bring about peaceful and harmonious relationship in communities. In many cases, we have groups that go rendering pro bono services to see how they can stabilize regions. There must be collaboration between non-state actors and state actors so that their influence cannot be seen as being aggressive but collaborative. Now, we must build local capacity, supporting the development of local peace-building initiatives and empowering local communities to take ownership of the peace process. In Edo State, you discover that the government came up with its own initiative, having indigenes making up the security architecture of the state. Because they know who is who, everybody seems to pipe low. Because when anything goes wrong, they know where to get them. They know where to look at them. In the words of Kofi Annan, one time UN Secretary General, he said, there's no single path to peace. The important thing is to keep moving forward. In the words of Nelson Mandela, former president of South Africa, he said, if you want to make peace with your enemy, you have to work with your enemy. When he becomes your partner, then you will achieve peace. There should be no disharmony between state actors and non-state actors. To a large extent, the state actors may want to impose issues on the non-state actors, but the non-state actors must understand their proximity to the grassroots, their knowledge about issues from the source gives them an upper hand to do the needful. In my place, there's a local adage that says, when I wash my hands by itself, it may not be clean. But when these two hands washes themselves, it may become clean. Non-state actors play critical role in conflict resolution. We are simply saying to everyone on board, it is time to come together. The energy we use in discrediting ourselves can also be used in edifying ourselves. The energy we use in looking for loopholes can be used to build a strong structure. Why am I saying this? Because home will always be home. No matter how far we go, home will always be home. No matter how high we go, home will always be home. We've had of so many individuals that went up so high, but when they came down, it was then they discovered that they did not do the needful as at when it ought to be done. Non-state actors play a critical role in conflict resolution. Like I said earlier, they can assist in de-escalating tensions. They can also contribute in escalating conflict. So they have dual capacity. But it is my admonition that in our role, no matter the level, no matter the little level we are in, we can make up our mind to make the difference. Somebody said the youth are clamoring to rule, but the youth are more corrupt than even those that are ruling. It is not a function of age, it is a function of your personality. It is not a function of age. No matter how wealthy a thief is, a thief will always be a thief. No matter how poor a man with integrity is, he will maintain his integrity. Many of us may not be privileged to be among the ruling class. Many of us may not be privileged to be among the policy-making circle. But in our individual space as non-state actors, what is our role? Our role is to uphold peace. It won't take anything from you to smile at people when you see them. It doesn't take anything from you to check up on your loved ones. It doesn't take anything from you to give people what is rightfully theirs instead of stealing from them and preventing them to enjoy the fruit of their labor. Many of us are in the category of non-state actors. We may not have direct connection to government. We may not have direct relationship with government. Our relatives may not be in government, but don't forget, life is see you later. When you destroy what you are supposed to protect today, it may become your turn tomorrow. Do for others what you want others to do for you. Don't forget, peace is not what we wait for. Peace is not what we wish for. Peace is what we work for. If we do not work for it, we cannot get it. So, as I summarize today, I'm leaving you with these words. That desired height, the nation we are looking for, is possible if we begin to work towards it. One of my mentor, Ambassador Segun Ogunyoro, he said, when you are not bothered about who will get the credits, all your interest is to get the work done, you will be at your best. So at an individual level, as state actors and non-state actors, what is the impact of our action in global governance? When you want to build a tower, you don't start from the top, you start from the bottom. A man said, he said when he was young, his dream was to make the world a better place. So he did all he could to make the world a better place. But his efforts were just not enough for his desires. As he began to grow older, he settled on his country. I want to impact my country and make it better. All his actions could not yield any impulse. At an older age, he told himself, I will change my community. Yet he did his best. He could not change his community. When he became well aged, it dawned on him, if I had changed myself, if I had used myself to impact my family, then I would have been able to use my family to impact my community. Then my community would have impacted my nation. Then my nation could have impacted the world. No dream is too big to be achieved if only we are consistent in our belief. Many persons are non-state actors contributing to the betterment of their immediate society and economy and community. But because of one issue or the other, they become aggrieved and switch to the other side. My heart was broken when a group of armed robbers were caught, and one of the armed robbery gang said he had a first class. He graduated with his first class. Because there was no job, he decided to go into armed robbery. He had other options he could have taken advantage of. What are we saying? Remain true to who you are. The change we are looking for may not come while we are alive, but if we decide to lay down all we can to prepare for future generations, we'll be remembered as true ambassadors of peace. The Institute of Global Peace and Conflict Management is calling on everyone out there. Either you are a member, you're not a member, our door is open. Come join us. Let us together build a peaceful nation. Peace can be achieved. Peace is not the absence of conflict, but peace is the ability for tranquility and unity to reign supremely in the presence of storm. No matter how difficult the economy is, people are still making progress. No matter how high things are, does it not freak you? People still buy cars. People still build house. It therefore means this storm does not in any way stop anyone that is truly on the path to greatness. The same storm that prevents other birds from flying, the same storm propels the eagle to soar to greater height. Are you a part of the non-state actors? We can do the needful towards a better nation. Let us hold our leaders accountable. Whenever it is time for election, you see the state actors using the non-state actors to unleash terror on their co-non-state actors. Let us say no to thuggery. Let us not sell our future for a bowl of porridge. Let us not sell our destiny for a bowl of courage. Do you know that when non-state actors stick together and come together, our voice will be heard? Thank you for listening. I do not take your patience for granted. I do not have monopoly of knowledge. I know if given opportunity, many other persons can do much more than what I have done. I want to appreciate you for tolerating the level of knowledge I may have exhibited. And special thanks to the Institute of Global Peace and Conflict Management. It is open to everyone. We have different courses that you can take advantage of to improve on yourself. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Samuel. Thank you. You've done justice to this topic, the role of non-state actors in conflict resolution. And just like you said during the course of your presentation, peace can be achieved in all realms, not just at the local level, not just at the community level, the national level, but even globally. Global peace is possible. So we appreciate you. You've spoken extensively on this topic, the role of non-state actors in conflict resolution. And also to our audience, we are glad you have been following us. We can see your comments, we can see your contribution. Please keep them coming. This is a time for us to attend to them. So let us know your questions in the comment section and we will do justice to that. Once again, thank you, Ambassador Samuel. So you have spoken extensively about the role of non-state actors when it comes to conflict management and conflict resolution. Now, I would love us to take this into practical. There's currently a conflict in the Middle East, the conflict between Israel and Palestine. So, what can you say? How effective do you think the non-state actors have been in bringing this conflict to an end, in resolving this current crisis we are currently seeing?
Permit me to state that non-state actors are usually overstressed when dealing with issues of national and international aggression. If only the state actors can take advantage of the scheme and the system being exhibited by non-state actors, we will not be experiencing the kind of things we're experiencing today. The non-state actors, you see their inputs, you see their efforts in managing the issues, providing relief whenever there's conflict, doing the needful at a lower level. Or do you know, he that plays the piper dictates the tune. Many times when we think we know what to do, we may end up not doing that which is best to be done. My opinion is simple. When the political class and the state actors are faced with complexities, it doesn't cost them anything to reach out to non-state actors, especially institutions that have the skill to provide services in alternative dispute resolution that can help in bringing strategic interventions in bringing both parties together. No one human being has two heads. The pen is being said is stronger than the sword. Many crises are offshoot of interests that have been buried for years. When these interests have opportunity to surface and parties are given the opportunity to explore several options, most of this tension will die down. I'm of the opinion that non-state actors are usually overstressed and suppressed, especially when these issues are concerned. They should be allowed to do the needful. The state actors should understand everything is not all about politics. Everything is not about dictatorship. Coming down home when Nigeria, there was an issue in the sub-region, and we were told that our beloved nation, Nigeria, the pride of Africa, they were thinking of sending troops to a neighboring nation. A decision being proposed by the state actors. It took the cry of non-state actors for that decision to be buried. The beauty of non-state actors is that they are more in number and they are raised with diversities of intellectual capacities. Look at the national conference that was held. What happened to the report? We have rich minds as non-state actors that have what it takes to bring on board sanity and peace. Their voices are usually not heard. They are not usually given opportunities to do the needful. My proposition, when there's conflict, when there's tension in any sub-region, instead of sending politicians, instead of sending government officials, the government should look for institutes that have credible members that are skilled in the area of handling conflict. They should be empowered and sent forth. Many times, even when diplomats, trained diplomats are sent, the state actors that are part of the entourage, they always overshadow them. Conflict cannot be managed with politics. Conflict can be managed by those that have the skill to do the needful as at when due. And I think there should be a massive government buy-in into institutions that are, there should be massive government partnership with institutes that are promoting peace, because when the economy is not peaceful, the state actors can never be at peace. It is been said, a child that says the mother will not sleep, that child also should be ready not to sleep. If state actors have nothing to lose when they assist the non-state actors towards the path of peaceful resolution.
Interesting, interesting. So my next question is, you actually spoke about religious organization. You spoke extensively on religious organization, and you made mention of technology during the course of your presentation. And now I want to know the role of media. What role does media have to play as a non-state actor? Now, there's actually a comment from one of our audience, and he has this to say, and that would be the basis for my question. So he says, why does it seem like technology and media focus so much on conflict and negativity? We need more stories of peace, of hope and peace. How can we push for media that promotes understanding and unity? This is from Mr. Jeremiah Peters. Now, in addition to this, what role does media play as a non-state actor? This is looking at both perspective, from the negative and also from the positive perspective.
Thank you so much. We actually spoke about technology. The media plays a great role in conflict resolution. People are usually inspired by what they see and what they hear. And when the media is communicated in disseminating constructive content, you will discover that the minds of the people will not be disabused and stirred up into taking laws into their hands. Now, the issue of, we discover that negative content trend more than positive content. We have people that are specialists in content creation. Those with good content don't usually have good followership, but those with uncensored and those with content that do not speak well of humanity, those with content that do not promote the positive light of our nation, usually have viewership. I think it is hard time we tell ourselves the truth. Let us promote and share content that are educative. You don't see likes, you don't see shares, but content that are derogatory, you see a lot of shares and likes. It is how we call ourselves to order. What do we actually want? Do we actually want to build a nation that will stand the test of time? Or do we want to build a nation that it will all end as at due? My response to this question is that we must be we must begin to encourage people with positive content. We should encourage people with creative content. Many persons that criticize those that are putting things that ought not to be online. The question is, what are you doing? Let us flood the social media with positive content. Let us flood the social media with creative content. There's so much we can do. And if we cannot do it, let us partner and encourage those that are doing it. Many times there are some news that are being aired that ought not to be. Let us understand some pictures should not be displayed. Some information should not be displayed. It is not everything that should be done. Most times, when you listen to some interviews, some security questions that are top secrets, being heard in social media. It ought not to be. My response is social media play a great role. Let us come together to unfollow contents that are not identifying, contents that promote cultural disunity. Let us unfollow such content creators and encourage those that are committed towards the unity and sustainability of our mission. Now, we all know that it is not quite cheap for social media houses to air information, and those with good content and good storyline may not have the resources. We can come together, form partnership for the purpose of painting our nation in a good light. Information that will bring disunity should be discouraged, but information that will bring joy will be encouraged. And that is why the Edo State Multi-Door Courthouse, we are putting together our Settlement Week. Settlement Week is there to assist parties that are in dispute resolve their issues. Parties that have been in litigation for a long time, making up their mind to resolve their dispute amicably according to their own terms, is beginning next week. And in houses, we have either institutes that we can bargain with. Many persons do not know that ADR Institute exists. Because of the high cost of publicity, we can give a little leverage to institutes that are into peaceful resolution, institutes that promote peace. We can give a little leverage to them to enable them air their programs, if not free, but at a subsidized rate. Edifying content to be aired. That's my response to that particular question. Now, let me check the chat box.
Thank you, Ambassador Samuel, for the response, and Mr. Jeremiah Peters. We appreciate your comments, your question. So next we're looking into another question from Ambassador Engineer Chika Oga. And she says, nice one, sir. My question is, what role do non-state actors play in addressing root causes of conflict, such as economic disparities or ethnic tensions? Secondly, she asks, how do the strategies and approaches of non-state actors differ from those of state actors in conflict resolution? And lastly, to what extent can non-state actors enhance local ownership and community participation in peace-building processes?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now, the first question is, what role do non-state actors play in addressing root causes of conflict, such as economic disparity or ethnic tension? Believe me or not, non-state actors are doing quite a lot. But because there's no publicity, we conclude that they are doing nothing. There's so much effort. Go to these communities that have these issues. You will discover that a whole lot has been done by non-state actors, either as a coordinated body or with individual efforts. Now, the strategies and approach that non-state actor uses, how does it differ from state actors? Any state organ, any state body, whatever they do is tailored to them. But not state body. In my discussion, remember I said, there may be no law governing what they do. There may be no oversight function in what they do. But because of their proximity to the grassroots, they understand the sensitivity of these issues and they are swift in taking action. An average human has human empathy and will not delight to see that individuals live in pain. There's so much people are doing to bring about peace, to bring about joy, to bring about stability in the economy. We have individuals that are offering scholarship to thousands of people. We have individuals that have built houses for people. We have non-state actors that have done so much, that have rehabilitated a lot of persons without making noise about it. So much is being done. We have individuals that have given potable water to communities. We have non-state actors that have tarred road for communities. We have non-state actors that have built markets, built police stations, built all manner of institutions in different communities. These are their ways of contributing. We have non-state actors that have come together to form alternative dispute resolution centers, giving free pro bono services to people that cannot spend their needs. A lot of this is being done by individuals, although it is not known, because we all know that state actors, they have direct access to the press. So whatever they do is being blown up. I was in a vicinity recently and I said, wow, this road has been tarred. They said, no, the government came to commission a project in a strategic area and they decided to tie few kilometers of the road. When you go beyond there, the road is left bare. Why? Just to make the people happy. But non-state actors, they may not have easy access to the press. They may not have easy access to publicity. Thank God for social media that makes it easy for people to know what is happening in different parts of the world. If not for the intervention of non-state actors, I don't know if the death of a popular Nigerian musician, Imole, would have been taken as seriously as it was taken. He may have just been buried, and that would be the end of the story. But non-state actors came together, and you see their input in the economy. Now, to what extent can non-state actors enhance local ownership and community participation in peace-building processes? The role of non-state actors is very crucial. It's very critical. They have a lot of town hall meetings, a lot of initiatives. They come together, make contributions for the purpose of improving where they live, what they do. Many communities are being reported that they were the ones that supported themselves in getting social amenities like light, pipe, and water. They came together. But don't forget, non-state actors can play a critical role. They can also play a dangerous role. Thank you, Janet, for that question. Thank you so much. I hope I've been able to provide answers to everyone. I wouldn't know. We may need to maybe let the participants know our email address so that the
Yes.
questions time may not permit us to take. They can reach out to us and we can provide answers to them. And I'm sure my uncle, many persons may want to be a part of this institute. You can do well to let us know how they can join. Is there a phone number? Is there a contact person they can call, and the processes in joining the institute?
Okay, so yes, exactly. There actually is, if you can look at the screen beneath, there's actually a message there. It says to know more about the Institute, you can visit us on www.igpcm.com.ng, or you contact us via email at igpcminfo@gmail.com, or you can call us on these numbers: +234-073-345-8730, or +234-8141-569400. You can also do well to follow us on all our social media handles. You can check us out. You can check us out on YouTube. We are on YouTube at Institute of Global Peace and Conflict Management, on Facebook and LinkedIn. Still on Institute of Global Peace and Conflict Management. You can also follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at IGPCM. So if you're interested in joining our membership, we offer membership services. We also offer professional trainings. You can do your postgraduate diploma with us. We at the Institute of Global Peace and Conflict Management will be excited to receive you and to train you and induct you as a peace ambassador. We also have our forthcoming inductions. We have in Abuja on the 10th of August 2024. We also have in Port Harcourt, we have in Enugu, and we have in Lagos. So you can do well to reach out to us. You can drop a message in the comments. I can see a message of Mr. Osai asking how he can join the Institute of Global Peace. So you can reach out to us on the number displayed on the screen. So thank you very much, and thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Ambassador Samuel. It's a pleasure having you. Unfortunately, due to time, we couldn't take some of the questions and the comments, so you can do well to send it on the email or it will be responded to in the comments. So thank you very much, Mrs. Queen, Mrs. Shirley, and the rest of you whose questions could not be taken. We do not take it for granted and we appreciate your contribution. So thank you everyone, and thank you Ambassador Samuel for today's section of the history.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure having you, and we look forward to having you on subsequent episodes of the Peace Clinic.
Sure.
So
this is my home. We are together. Yes. This is my home.
Yes. So once again, thank you everyone, and see you on the next episode of the Peace Clinic. Have a lovely night, and thank you.
College.